everybody. How are you guys doing today? AMC Bickham's here. I hope everybody's having a good night. So, I was looking through old documents, and I had a document before of like Citadel before payment for order flow came into effect. It was like in 2004, and they were basically lobbying against it. So, what I decided to do was look back in old civil cases, look back in old, recommendations, old counterfeiting things, any kind of file I could find that was older that they were saying, hey, if you guys don't stop this, this is what's going to happen. So while doing that, I kind of came across a couple of these documents. So I wanted to go over a couple of these with you guys because I mean some of these things are obviously still happening to this day, and they said this is what's going to happen if certain changes aren't met. So let's go ahead and look at some things here. Obviously, right away you can see. Yet they're allowed to market makers with access to naked shorting loopholes for hedge funds, blah blah blah. But that's not really what I want to get into right away. So right now, like we always talk about with market makers, this also shows you market makers are allowed to do those certain exemptions from the SEC rules revolving naked shorting. So what we're saying by doing this, and this is why we're telling all you guys about the lit exchange is so important. So let's say I'm a market maker. Every single time they make these IOUs, these synthetics, you're adding dilution to the stock. It's not hitting the exchange. They're doing this over the counter. So they're adding shares. So every single time we're buying off the lit exchange, as you can see, literally it's dropping the price because we're creating synthetic shares off exchange. So like I said, you guys, doing the lit exchange is insanely important. But one of the things that I wanted to look at quick down here and that I thought were pretty interesting is, so you got like naked calls. So basically a naked call is the same thing as a call, but it's someone who sells the call and they don't actually have the shares. In other words, he's selling an option or something he does not own. The SEC allows this. The SEC rule also allows the seller of a naked short to treat the purchase of a naked call as a borrowed stock, thereby keeping their naked short off the SEC's failed to deliver list. A share of stock that has a naked call, as it is borrowed shares, is marked as a disclosed short when it is sold, even though nobody in the transaction actually owns the shares. So this also goes with, the ISDA contracts we were talking about. They also have naked calls that I didn't know about. But a couple things here I wanted to show you guys, which I thought was pretty crazy here. So let's see here to talk about the DTCC. Now it's owned by all the prime brokers, and these are the prime brokers. You got all your fucking banks. This is why it's the central bank regime that I was always talking about. There's all your fucking pieces of shit right there. Each one of them is fucking a piece of trash. But let's see here. Let's go down more and more and more. I thought this was when it gets kind of interesting here. So it talks about who's participating in the fraud and all that stuff. So obviously it talks about, you got Goldman Sachs, Bayer, all these people who are ISDA members, but they also are members of the DTCC. So basically the people that are supposed to be, regulating the market, as we all know, is the ones actually doing most of this bullshit. And then it goes on to talk about, different ways that they're using shell companies, which obviously we're all seeing, to avoid taxes. The smart guy, he's been kind of coming around lately, so he's been, helping us out, talking about his point of view. So I just saw his name in there, which I thought was kind of funny. But they talk about these people have offshore accounts. They'll go through like 5 or 6, 7 different, companies, shell companies, shell companies, shell companies. They're like 15 layers deep. But this is where it got real interesting. This is where I wanted to show everybody, because everybody sits there and they say, hey man, oh fuck, sorry, hey man, all the shares are in dark pools. They're sitting in dark pools, and if you actually look right here at the creation of counterfeit shares. So basically it's saying don't be fooled unless the short seller has actual borrowed a share from an account or a long investigated short sale is counterfeit. Doesn't matter what you call it, maybe non-counterfeit, blah, blah, blah. But if you come right down here and it says the magnitude of counterfeiting is hundreds of millions of shares every day, and it may be in the billions. The real answer is locked within the prime brokers and the DTC. So basically, the people who's supposed to be protecting us and saving us and making sure this bullshit isn't happening is the one who fucking is vaulting this shit up, dude. Um, I mean, it's pretty crazy, man. I mean, they're talking about fraud. You got loopholes. I mean, dude, every single thing. This thing is kind of crazy. They talk about failed to delivers. I'm gonna go ahead and post this on the bottom. But I mean, man, it's just like every single thing in this document here, this first one, and this is one like this. I'm gonna keep going down because this document gets fucking crazy. I mean, this document gets nuts. So there's these things called a short iceberg, and this is how the system works, you guys. This is how they do this shit. At the top, you got failed to deliver. You got disclosed shorts. Down in, you got sentimental fails. We'll get down in each one of these single things here, but this basically shows you the process. And then this is the thing I wanted to, show everybody at the very end. When everything else is failing and they're running out of bullshit options, foreign exchanges, BDRs, you start seeing the bullshit coming up out of other countries. So I want you guys to see this is a fucking process called short iceberg. A major loophole that was intentionally left in the reg show was grandfathering it in. All the pre-show naked shorting. All the pre-show naked shorting. All the fucking bullshit before the reg show was in there. And then grandfathered them in. This rule's akin to telling bank robbers, if you make it to the front door of the bank before the cops arrived, it's aight. I mean, Jesus Christ. Like, this shit has been fucking buried. Known about. Every single thing we're slowly uncovering, like, oh man, where's all this bullshit? There's these fake shares. Dude, this shit's been known about, and the problem is it's known about by all the fucking cocksuckers. There's proof of it over and over and over and over in documents. I got more documents I'm going to show you guys in a second, but it's like, I mean, Jesus Christ, look at this shit. But it would never happen. So, when they first came up with that bullshit, they're just like, who cares? Just 400 million shares. I'll just take them. Diet. Fuck them. Grandfather that shit. Option maker exceptions. I mean, you guys are like... Significant amount of counterfeiting is a result of option market exemptions. The rule allows certain fucking option contracts to serve as borrowed shares for short sales, even though there is no company issue shares behind the contract or options contract. The loophole is easily abused, helped in part by the SEC apparent inability to globally monitor compliance. So basically what this is talking about is those fucking ISDA contracts that I keep talking about, you guys. So they've been just ramming us up the ass with ISDA contracts. Not even giving a fuck. So basically, if we were buying too much before, they're just like, hell, we'll go ahead and let's take some ISDA contracts out, fucking just bombard them with ISDA contracts. No one fucking knows. No one cares. We're going to go ahead and throw these options in here, like I was saying, those flex options, like we showed you in that lawsuit earlier. It's just funny, like I know some of this stuff's being brought up again, but we're learning some stuff. But now we know, it's not dark pools. The DTC is the fucking douchebags holding all this shit. And the prime brokers, which are, like I said, it's just fucking ridiculous, dude. This is so stupid, dude. It's like, we're gonna win because no matter what, if we keep fucking buying, you can't hide that forever. No matter what, you guys. They cannot fucking hide this forever. I want to make that pretty damn clear. I mean, I'm still in this play 1,000%. There's none of this shit's changing my mind. All this is doing is making me realize everything we've uncovered, the hardcore DDers and stuff, like, dude, this shit's real. We're being fucked. We've been fucked forever. This is where the middle class is definitely gone. Like I said, I mean, it's just fucking pathetic. And I hope you guys are reading. Like, I'm kind of talking and letting you guys read this document as, as I go. Because there's a lot of fucking crazy shit. Some of the tricks are as following. Stock sales are either long or short. When a stock is transaction, the broker checks the approximate box, blah, blah, blah. By mismarking the trading ticket, checking the long box when it's actually a short sale never shows up. We've already known about that one. Settlement of stock transaction is supposed to occur within 3 days, at which time a naked short should become a fail to deliver. However, the SEC routinely and automatically grants a number of extensions before the naked short gets reported as a fail to deliver. Why are they getting extensions? I never knew that they could give an extension. What the fuck? Like, seriously? Most of the short hedge funds and broker dealers have multiple entities, many offshore, so they sell large naked short positions from entity to entity, rolling positions, as they are called, as frequently done by broker to broker, hedge fund to hedge fund, and block trades that never appear on exchange. Each movement resets the clock. We already knew about all that bullshit. But it's just fucking hilarious that everything we're seeing, here we go. Like I said, they've known about this shit. Problem is the one who know about it are the ones supposed to be regulating. Like I said, the prime broker others may do a buy-in of a naked short position. If they tell the short hedge fund that they're going to buy in at blah, 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 the hedge fund shorts into their own buy-in and rolls their position, hence circumventing regulation show. Classic, so they can do that bullshit. Remember I talked about how they could do the time rollover bullshit? There you go. It's just funny that you find out another thing in the fucking another document showing you this is crap they're doing. Here we go. Let's go. Most large broker-dealers operation internally, so when regulators come in, they almost always call ahead, you guys. So they know when these fucking people are coming in, or compliance people come in. Guess what? They call ahead. Large naked positions are moved out of country and returned at a later fucking date. What? There you go. All this fucking bullshit, the BDRs. Now you know why they use the BDRs. So they can fucking move this shit when regulation comes. Boom, boom, boom. Finding gold. We're finding gold. We're finding fucking gold. This is fucking sweet. They're all fucking piece of shit. Margin account because of loopholes in the rule. Inadvertently A the shorts. If short A sells the naked short, he has 3 days to deliver a borrowed share. If the counterfeit share is purchased in a margin account, it is immediately put into the stock lend, and for a fee it is available as borrowed, blah, blah, blah. Basically, they're just using borrowed shares as well. Margin account, basically, if you're giving a margin account, you're just fucking us up the ass. Shit we already knew. But this is just a sample of tactics used for a company that is under attack of the counterfeit shares that exist in an X-clearing tier, blah, blah, blah. Continuous net settle, the third tier of counterfeiting occurs at the DTC level, people. The DTC level, the Depository Trust and Clearing. The DTCC is a holding company owned by the major brokers and has 4 subsidiaries, blah, 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 blah. Here, let's go down. Provides the brokers with the... Here you go. These accounts are electronic entity, blah, blah, blah. Stock borrowing program. When a broker-dealer processes the sale of a short sale, the broker has 3 days, blah, 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 you know about that shit, deliver the money, and all days. Wait a second. In the old days, if the buyer did not receive his shares by when the stock borrow program and electronic transfers were put in place, all this changed at the point Nscc guaranteed the performance of a buyer-seller and would settle the transaction even though the seller was now failed to deliver on the shares he sold. The buyer has a counterfeit share in his account, but the Nscc transaction, if it's real, at the end of the day, if the broker-dealer has sold more shares in a given stock than he has in his account with the DTC, he borrows shares from the Nscc, who borrows them from the broker-dealers who has the surplus of shares. So basically, they're just borrowing from SEC, DTCC, fucking who gives a shit, everyone who's fucking supposed to be helping us. Instead, they're giving them the fucking shares to stick it back up our ass and fuck us deeper. Let's keep going because, why not keep showing us how they're fucking us deep? Like I said, this is fucking pathetic. Okay, this is my favorite. At the end of the day, blah, 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 who borrows... Here's the hocus pocus that creates millions of counterfeit shares. When a broker-dealer has a net surplus of shares of any given company in his account with the DTC, only the net amount is deducted from his surplus position and put in the stock borrow program. So not the shares, just his fucking surplus position. However, the broker-dealer does not take a like number of shares from his customer's individual account, and that surplus position is loaned to a second broker-dealer to cover his net defect position. So basically, he just covers everything. Here, you cover this, and I'll cover you, and let's just keep stealing. Let's say a customer at a second broker-dealer purchases, I'm not going to keep going into that, because the DTCC stock blah, 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 blah. This process is called, here you go, this process is called continuous net settlement, and is hidden billions of counterfeit shares that never make it to regulation show. That's the most important thing. Continuous net settlement. I love you all. I'm going to show you guys a couple more videos soon. Have a good night.